More!
Lunch break! You didn't do it. Again.
Come on.
Wait, is this for every episode?
Come on.
I
You didn't watch our show.
I watched a couple, but I forgot this part.
Lunch break! We're super excited today. It's a really special episode. We have our second favorite Asian from Maze Runner. Our first is obviously Mike Bo, but we settled with Mr. Ki-Hong Lee.
That's fine.
We're eating pizza today. This is the first time we ever had pizza.
I get vegan cheese, so don't worry, guys. It's not real cheese, so I'm okay.
No one was worried.
What does that taste like though? Like,
I think it tastes like cheese. I don't know what real cheese tastes like.
Okay, so earlier we were kidding. Obviously, Ki-Hong is our favorite Maze Runner character.
By far the coolest character in the
Definitely.
So cool.
No, it's true. That's not even a lie. I think what's a even bigger honor is that we're sitting with one of the sexiest people in the world, as deemed by People Magazine.
Thank you.
For 1 year. Well, I do have to say, like, was it pretty cool to be considered or to be on that list? You were like the only Asian person on that list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people all the time, like, at first I was really uncomfortable with it because I don't think of myself like that at all, and I just feel it's weird to be on a list like that. But I realize that it's important to be on that list and to kind of show people that Asian Americans can be sexy, because if you look at like a magazine rack at a supermarket or something, you see all these people on the covers, right? But they don't look anything like you,
Yeah.
no matter what race you are. And it's like, oh man, if that's what the standard of beauty is, I'm never gonna get it because I don't look like that ever.
So now you reset that standard of beauty.
Well, not really.
You are the standard of beauty now.
Not really.
One of the first
Like,
steps.
I made like a small dent.
Like, or I think what's interesting is every year I think people does that list and they try to have at least like, they try to make it diverse.
Yeah.
Right? They have
Yeah.
like one Asian guy a year, it seems like. And so I'm glad that they include you, but I also do think it's sad that there is only one Asian guy
I know.
a year.
Oh, there's a lot of better looking guys than me.
That's debatable. We know you from before Maze Runner.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see how people see you now.
Yeah. It's weird.
Because we've seen you in much different situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, so before all the Maze Runner stuff, you were an Asian male in Hollywood pursuing acting.
I'm not anymore.
Well, now it's a
different time.
Now it's a different context, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess even now, like, what do you feel like is your experience? I guess being.
Is it one of those things? Is it true that like you just see the same people in these auditions? It's just like, oh my god, it's the other Asian guys in this community going after the same roles all the time.
Yeah, especially when the casting office wants, they're specifically seeing Asian Americans.
Yeah.
You just see like lists like all the Asian actors that you know, they're all there. It is a competition in a way, but for me, in the beginning when I first started acting, I was like, dude, I'm gonna be better than all these guys.
Yeah.
I had that kind of mentality, but now it's just like I just hope they cast one of us. I just hope they keep the role Asian and cast one of us. So like, if he gets it and I don't get it, it's fine, dude. As
Yeah.
long as they keep it Asian, you know.
So you're happy for each other. It's good.
Yeah.
When you say keep it Asian, like, are you specifically like talking about like worried that they just will not even cast an Asian person for that role?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times they'll see Asians, and then I find out when the show airs, like they casted someone else for a variety of reasons. Casting things like it's so complicated. I'm sure you guys know too. Like when you cast a movie or a TV show, there's so many different things that go into
So many things that go
picking a person. So
It's never just the actor himself.
right, it could be it could be a lot of things. So to say that like they're racist and they didn't cast an Asian, maybe it is the case. I don't know, but there are a lot of different factors that go into it. So you can't really say that's racist, you know?
I think
it's true. Like when you cast, even when we cast for a movie, it's not a question of just that individual. It's how they work with the entire team and the ensemble, and also like scheduling and if the looks match each other. It's like a lot of stuff you don't usually think about when you watch a movie.
at the same time though, there are those variables that have to be taken into consideration, but you have to still have creators that want to cast an Asian person if you want an Asian person.
Yeah.
And if that's not there, there's no reason for them to go out of their way to be like, okay, unless it's written as an Asian person.
Yeah, and you know why? Because it takes more time to do that. The way the system is set up, it's set up in a way from like back in the day when Hollywood, first started out. I mean, this is years and years and years of the system, the way it's set up. And so for us to change it, like it's gonna take us like a lot longer to
The thing-
change the status quo, just like in anything.
Right.
And so like if there's like a certain formula that they're used to and they know it works in terms of money because it is a business, then why would they change it? There's no reason why they would.
The cool thing is that there's different ways of changing it now. You know, there's other platforms.
Yeah.
So there's all these new ways that content can get out there are ways that groups like us can hopefully change the system.
I think, yeah, I agree. I think it's already changing, and I think it is good for us to be like, you know, trying to push, you know, what's happening in traditional media, like with movies and TV. I really think like that's an older model, like you said, has been established for so long. Trying to change that is, I don't want to say impossible, but it's basically like we haven't heard the last of whitewashing. It's going to keep happening.
Yeah.
You need people that are willing to like take risks and think of the system in a totally different way. And right now, like that's not happening in Hollywood because no one in Hollywood wants to take risks. It needs to happen essentially outside of Hollywood, which is I think what's already happening with these digital platforms, streaming platforms. Like they're totally disrupting the system, and that's where I think the most opportunity is going to come for Asian people if we want to step up into that arena.
Right.
Which brings me to another point, which is I don't think that there are enough Asian people doing it. We know people, and in our bubble, we're like, yeah, no, there's tons of people. For every like one Asian actor that's out there right now, there's 100, if not hundreds, of like white actors that are going after the same thing. It's just not in our culture to be going to do that, to go for it. You know, like we weren't raised to want to try to do this. There are talented people, but it's hard to rise to the top or outside of literally what's been going on for decades.
We talk about Aziz Ansari a lot here in the office. He had a Netflix show come out called Master of None, and he talked about how he had to make that happen for himself, kind of like how Ki-Hong was talking about. And he had to go and fight for that. And it's one of the most like refreshing shows I've seen in so long, you know,
Right.
especially for a minority.
And it's great because it's recognized across the board as,
Yeah.
as being like entertaining and groundbreaking and just a good show in general.
It's not just Asians or Southeast Asians or watching this, it's everyone can relate to it. Yeah. And it's not only that. You still have like Fresh Off the Boat with season 3, you know.
I think Fresh Off the Boat is actually a really good example because the showrunner is a person of color. One of the producers is Asian American as well. They brought together Asian American writers, obviously found an Asian American property, and like that's the beginning of building our system. You need to have people that actually want to tell your stories and also tell them authentically.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen through the system as it is right now.
Right.
So that's how we have to create it. And like creating it is not just on that side, but it's also on the in front of the camera too, where it's like you need to have more people that are going for it. And I think we have great examples of that. And I think, you know, with Ki-Hong, for example, and then even people that are on YouTube actually are making it for themselves. Timothy De La Ghetto is a great example of that. He's on TV and he's on YouTube. He's balancing and bridging both sides. I think Anna Khan is a great example of kind of taking it into her own hands and not waiting for Hollywood to give her a role.
And I think the sad part is that each of those examples still get criticized really harshly by our community. You know, like
Wait, why? Why?
I know a lot of people that don't like support Fresh Off the Boat that are Asian
Wait, why?
because they don't think it's authentic to their story.
Oh. See, the thing is, I think the biggest thing is that like we're not on the same page, and like even within Asian Americans, because there's so many different Asian Americans. Right?
Yeah.
We're fragmented.
Yeah, there's so much fragmentation because we are different, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and it's like that what your friend said about, or like you know some people that don't support Fresh Off the Boat because it's not their story.
know,
It's
yeah.
like,
We have to start somewhere.
yeah, man, you can't be like so picky about that stuff, you know.
People aren't seeing the bigger picture, and they're not realizing that to make any kind of impact, we need to band together.
But you know what? For the people that don't think Fresh Off the Boat is your story or whatever, then you write a show, because that's the only way you're gonna change it. And that's the only way we're gonna change it. You know what I mean?
When
Channel it into something positive. You know?
When there's 10 Asian American shows, it's okay for you to be like, oh, this one I don't like.
Yeah.
This is just an indication of how passionate we are about it. But
But also, there's so many different
so many
things.
layers to
Yeah,
it,
there's
too.
so many different facets to this conversation. You know, it's not just people that are complaining. It's like, okay, it should be a bigger call to action. They should be doing something about it. Okay, what can they do? Do something that we're doing. We're trying to create our own stories and not rely on the studio or the networks to give us a chance. We're creating our own chance. And I think that's what people need to do. If you're gonna change the status quo, you're gonna have to do something radical. You're gonna have to change everything. And the only way you're gonna change everything and be radical is to do it yourself and to change the model or whatever it is that exists. And that mountain is high. We're not gonna just climb one mountain and be like, yeah, we're good. We have Masters of None, we have Fresh Off the Boat, whatever. Like we have all these shows, and so like it's gonna take time. And it's like, you should celebrate the victories. We should celebrate the fact that Fresh Off the Boat got another season. We should celebrate that there's Dr. Ken and all these roles for Asian Americans, or like they're actual actors that are acting and they have jobs that are Asian American. Yeah. We should be celebrating that. But we should never be complacent. We should never say that's enough. You know, we should always push forward. I think that's something we can all agree on, right?
Yeah, I think like the one thing that's great is every year, you know, it's gotten better. Now we have like 2 shows on TV that have Asian American families, but at the same time, while we celebrate those, like you said, we're still getting some crazy whitewashing in features.
Right, see, that's another mountain, right?
It's like
so we climbed this one mountain, and we see another mountain where they're whitewashing us, and we're like, we gotta go climb that now. That's like how I see it.
It's a reminder that, you know, as good as it can be, like it can be better still.
Yeah.
And we need everyone's support.
Yeah, whether you're a creator and you're creating those stories, or you're creating opportunities for other people to tell those stories, that's great. Or if you're just like in the audience and you show your support by watching or sharing content that features Asian Americans and it's a story that you actually like that's great too. I think there's so many ways to support.
And I think it's great that we're, you know, praising Fresh Off the Boat, Dr. Ken, all these shows that have Asian Americans in it. But like, it's funny, like Netflix was only like legitimized only like a few years ago.
Yeah.
You know, like, and now we can say, yeah, Master of None and Ali Wong or whatever, and our movie too on Netflix right now, starring Ki-Hong Lee.
Thank you.
And I think that's the thing, like we need to be praising the traditional way, but there's a whole new wave that's already happening on the digital space that we should also be giving props to and praising as a community as well. Like we shouldn't just be like, oh yeah, people on TV, we should still be grateful that we have people like Niga Higa that are bridging that space, you know what I mean?
I agree with you.
And like, it's funny that people don't use them in the same conversation as
they don't, and I think that's where a lot of my heatedness comes from.
Right, but that's something that's hopefully going to change in the future, you know, and they're part of the change, I feel.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a shift in our community that needs to happen. To
yeah,
be like,
yeah. Just like you said, how you said Netflix was only legitimized a couple years ago.
Yeah.
That happened because of a shift in what people's thoughts.
And it happened because there was they made good
content on that platform.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And so I think that there's a lot of good content that is going to be coming out very soon.
Yeah.
Or is already kind of here, you know, from these digital spaces.
Yeah.
But it's important to have both. It's important to have People's Sexiest Man killing it in the movies and on Netflix as well. Gosh, this guy's all over. So whether you're like a creator in digital or traditional, whether you're a consumer that just has their 9 to 5 that just wants to find a good show, but also wants to support the Asian American movement, we really need people in all facets.
Whatever you do in your everyday life, you are, whether you like it or not, or whether you know it or not, are representing Asian Americans.
Thanks for being here, Ki-Hong.
Thank you for having me.
I know it was a very heavy topic. I think we have a lot of good things to say. We have a lot of good outlooks. We like scratched the surface. I feel like this topic is so deep.
Yeah.
And obviously affects us so much. Thanks for sharing with us your...
Thanks for having me. I just came here for the pizza, so I'm satisfied.
Someone doesn't like crust.
Phil! Hey guys, thanks for watching. Catch new episodes every Thursday. You can see me next on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt Season 2, streaming now on Netflix.
There's a lot of your friends that are on Netflix right now, which is great. It's
Yeah.
a great time.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like you can watch everything before us, and then watch Kimmy Schmidt, and then watch
Master of None
Master
and
of None.
Ali Wong.
and Ali Wong. Yeah.